everyone, and welcome to the Winging It F1 podcast, episode 94. We're only 6 away from 105. After this one, it is just myself, Nigel Chu, and Adam Dickinson. For this one, Freddie is, I actually don't know what he's doing, probably something more important than this. How are you doing?
He might be moving up to Sheffield today, actually. I could be wrong.
But... I mean, I'm moving up in a couple of days. Well, not up, across in a couple of days.
Yeah,
so,
I'm not.
Yeah, you're not. It'd be quite far across for you, wouldn't it? It'd be like 10,000 kilometers. But yeah, how's it going in Oklahoma?
It's going good. It's been like, anyone who's followed my Twitter will see I'm excitedly tweeting things. So I've been doing a lot of camera work, a lot of standing behind it, looking at the screen, making sure everything's in shot. But no, I'm enjoying it, and it kind of feels mad and slightly intimidating that it feels like I've been here forever, and yet I've still got effectively a whole Sheffield semester to go because the Sheffield term hasn't gone yet. So it's kind of weird thinking about that. And like, if I was in Sheffield, I would have done all this and then not even started the term yet. But yeah, no, I'm enjoying it. Going well. How are you doing in your last few days in the Northwest?
Wow. When I move to Yorkshire, it won't really change, will it? So it's all been fine, really. Not much to report, I don't think. You can follow Adam on Twitter at Adam Dickinson01, myself at Nigel C. Journal, and the missing Freddie Coates at FredCoates1999, and the Winging It F1 Twitter is at Winging It F1. We will tweet on there sometimes because that's what you do on Twitter. Anyway,
well, I mean, we could change Freddie's to like Fred Coates missing in action or something. So anytime one of us misses a podcast, we could change it to that. That'd be quite
fun. Let's talk driver news, although it's not news because it happened last week, but we haven't had a podcast for about 10 days. Aston Martin have confirmed Lance Stroll and Sebastian Vettel will stay at the team. There were some reports that Vettel might retire at the end of this year, but all of that turns out to be nonsense. They will stay next season. How do you feel about that decision, Adam? Is it the right thing?
I'm not sure. I think that as a driver pairing, I don't think there's kind of much to write home about.
It's underwhelming.
Lance, I think it's one of the weaker ones on the grid, and kind of if you look across the rest of their midfield rivals, then you've obviously got McLaren and Ferrari, who've got stars in Norris and Leclerc, and very capable drivers in Sainz and Ricciardo there as well. And then if you look across at Alpine, they've got Ocon, who's now they've got 2 race winners there, and Ocon, who's really come on again this season, kind of back to the level or near to the level that he was at Racing Point Force India, and obviously Alonso, who's just fantastic and has shown no signs of slowing down. And even at AlphaTauri, you've got Pierre Gasly, who's another race winner and another really, really, really strong driver who would fit well into most teams on the grid. And I think compared to that, if you're in a straight fight between that and the Aston Martin pairing, Aston Martin pair is not coming off best, I think, a lot of the time, but I think they've kind of made that bed from last season. I don't really see how they could have changed. I don't think there's kind of many obvious, maybe bringing in Bottas would have been good, but I don't think there's kind of many really obvious, although you're probably going to think of one and show me up, drivers that they could have brought in. So
I only Hulkenberg possibly returning, but even that, it's a bit of an unknown.
I don't think, I mean, he popped into my head, but I don't necessarily think he'd be an upgrade on either of them. So, I think, with the options they'd have had, it's probably the right decision to stick. But I think, it's not, there's nothing really to shout about with this pairing, to be honest, compared to the others. So, I think next season, if they are, I think the car's competitiveness or lack of has kind of masked that a bit this year, but I think next year, if they're kind of further up the grid or in the position that their car was last year, then it might kind of come back to haunt them a bit.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. I can't help but feel the driver lineup alone, it's missing 2 or 3 tenths compared to Alpine's driver lineup, for example. And if you're looking at next year's lineup, the quality of the grid will still be very, very strong, perhaps the strongest for a very long time. I can't help but feel the Aston Martin driver lineup will be, 8th or 9th out of the 10 teams, which is not what you want, because you're just losing those precious tenths a second just for driver lineup. I mean, Stroll's best result this year is 7th, isn't it? Which happened last time out at Monza, and people were praising that. But if you look at everyone else in the midfield, they've had top 5 finishes or multiple top 5.
To be fair,
finishes.
Seb has had a podium and a couple of top 5 finishes, and would have had another podium at Hungary. So I guess maybe that's something to kind of look at. So maybe
it is. But I think what it is, I think they'll both have their moments, but for me, as you know, I'm more about the consistency and performing at a high level every weekend, and I don't think either of them can do that now. That's my problem with it, I think.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think they're just not. They've not been getting top 10s every race, and kind of everyone else has been, really. If you discount Williams.
Even with Vettel's 18 points over, they would still be 7th, I think, in the constructors' standings. They wouldn't improve position. So, and I think their car has been capable of scoring points at most races, I'd say. But I just genuinely think, Alonso, Ocon, Gasly, they're just performing better overall as drivers.
Yeah, I mean, they've scored points in 9 races so far. And then you look at AlphaTauri have scored points in all but 1. So have Alpine, so have Ferrari, so have McLaren have had a couple more races that they've not scored points in. But, every other team has scored points in all but 1 races of the season so far. And, Aston Martin just aren't really near that. But, as I've said, I don't really see what else they could have done. I think in this situation where you've got Stroll kind of bedded in that seat, you've not really got another Ocon, Leclerc, Norris, Russell, Gasly coming through to, be able to put into that second seat. So, yeah, it's a difficult one where, I think they did the best with the situation. But, I think next season they are, if their car is more competitive going up against the other driver pairings, I think they'll be in trouble. I think it's only really maybe Williams and Haas. Maybe not even Williams, to be fair, because if Albon can return to his Toro Rosso form, I think he'd outpace them, or the Williams pairing would outpace them. So it's pretty slim pickings. But at the same time, I think it's a likeable pairing, and they will have moments because that's what both of them have done. Stroll over his career in the midfield and Vettel over his career in the midfield too. They will have moments, and that's better than nothing. So yeah,
it's remarkably similar to last year in a way, where Racing Point, as they were called, and they missed out on 3rd in the constructors' standings to McLaren in the final race, and I think it was because of the driver lineup, because they had the 2nd or 3rd fastest car at most races, but Perez and Stroll, they obviously had COVID as well. But even still, they should have been romping away with it. But I think the driver lineup let them down. So I think it's always been, or it's been a problem in the last few years for the team. But with Stroll there, I mean, if it's Stroll will ever not be in F1, as long as his dad is there.
Yeah, I think he's safe. And to be fair, I think he's. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of difficult.
I think this is his peak, though. This is like as good as it gets for him. I don't see how it gets better.
He's still quite young, isn't he?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, he's only 22. I think he's got a bit. I think he's got a bit to go, and I think if he, I can see him just carving out a career as a kind of midfield veteran. Really, I think he will get better. I don't know, maybe like Fisichella or Trulli level, which I mean, isn't Trulli's the 11th best driver of all time or whatever, according to Amazon. But yeah, I think he can reach that level, and he's had some great moments already in his career. So, I think it's difficult with how competitive the grid is or will be next year. I think this year he's probably outside the top 5 bottom drivers, or maybe just inside it. I'd say Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, Tsunoda, Mazepin, yeah, Latifi. So yeah, I'd say he's outside that, but kind of next year then that might change. So I don't think he deserves to just be turfed out, because I think he's kind of okay, but I think for what Aston Martin want, he's not really the driver that's going to take them there. But he's the driver that has led to them getting loads of backing and being taken over by one of the top sports car brands in the world. So it cuts both ways.
Absolutely. And Vettel, we've not spoken about him much actually on the podcast for quite a few months. How do you think his season has gone? Is it what you expected? Is it better than what you thought, or worse?
I'm not sure really. It kind of seems to have been taken up by a fair few kind of just weird moments. I mean, I think he's just had a lot of retirement or a lot of non-scoring finishes. He's had a retirement and a disqualification officially, but then he's had 2 more where he gets classified because he's done X number of laps but hasn't finished. So he's gone missing in a lot of races. I think the Azerbaijan, Monaco, Spa and Hungary performances are kind of
Spa.
Yeah, well, I mean, getting 5th in terms of qualifying, I think that's kind of overshadowing a lot of that. Actually, he's not scored points. Outside of that, he's only scored points in 1 more race. Yeah. So I think it's probably, he's kind of seems to be in a better mindset, which I think would have been one of the goals going into the season, is kind of refining his confidence. So I think, in terms of that, he's doing better. And the fact that we've not spoken about him, when he was at Ferrari, he was a much bigger topic of conversation. I think that's really helping him just be going a bit under the radar. But having said all that, I think those results kind of overshadowing that it's not really been that successful a season in terms of consistency and racking up points, which he could be getting, because, this car should be scoring points more regularly than it has been.
I thought he would be beating Stroll a bit more, or by more of a time wise. I thought he'd be a bit further ahead, but I don't think that's really happening. They're not similar. I think Vettel's just ahead, but not as much as I thought. I think that's how I'd summarise it. And you're absolutely right with the moments he's had, but equally he's had some races where he's just not been there. So it's just been mixed, I think.
Yeah, I think that's the best way of describing it. I thought him and Stroll would be quite close, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It just kind of felt like coming out of Ferrari. I mean, it was quite an unknown really anyway, coming out of Ferrari, but, I think maybe Stroll was a bit underrated and Vettel was a bit overrated. Well, it's in the way that people rate Stroll so low. I'm not saying he's underrated, I don't know, a George Russell when in his first season at Williams, but I think he was underrated in terms of people think he's a lot worse. Yeah. And I don't think he is that bad. And I think Vettel was overrated going in. So I don't know. I don't think it's a massive surprise, but equally, it's kind of the fact that they're 12th and 13th and 7th in the constructors. Yeah. It's not really kind of what you'd expect. I think that podium, or the 2 podiums, one of them doesn't count, is kind of saving a lot for their season, really.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll see. Well, they've got a mighty task to try and get top 5, which I think is what they're battling for. I don't think it's going to happen.
There is no way they are getting top 5.
So, we'll see what happens. To have any chance of doing it, though, they will have to do well at this weekend's Russian Grand Prix. Fan favourite event, said no one. But I'll tell you what is interesting, though, the weather. It looks like a complete washout on Saturday. I mean, looking at it, it looks like qualifying will take place on Sunday, quite frankly, because the paddock the F2 and F3 paddock has already been flooded. They're at car level height, I think I saw on social media. So I'm not sure how they're going to sort that out. They'll probably find a way. But it looks like the wet weather is going to definitely play a part at some point in the weekend. I don't know how we can analyse that. Have you got anything to say on that, Adam?
Well, the kind of same thing that we said after Spa, that the wet weather does equalise running for a lot of the drivers, and it kind of puts a lot more emphasis on, kind of natural driver talent, I guess, if there is such a thing. So, the kind of, will George Russell get pole position? Probably not. But, Russell, Norris, Ricciardo did well, although, you think that's just because the McLaren was so OP in the wet. I think if that is the case and we do get a wet qualifying, then we'll get a mixed up grid and that'll be interesting. But I think the main thing is, I don't know who I'd back out of Verstappen and Hamilton this year, because I think going into it, then I would have said Hamilton all day long. But actually, in the wet conditions this year, I think Verstappen's been the better driver, I'd say.
Yeah.
If you look at Spa, Imola, I mean, Hungary's kind of hard to analyse anyway. So, I think it might potentially favour Verstappen, really, which I never thought I'd say in the wet. But I think all the Brits will rise to the front, because that's what happened at Spa, because it always rained in Britain, so we're used to it. So yeah, I think that's what I expect. But it, like you say, it's a massive equaliser, and I think if you look at the grid for Spa, you had different teams in the top six. The first repeat team in qualifying was Sergio Perez in 7th. So yeah, I think in terms of that, that just shows it completely kind of wipes out team advantage, really. You had Russell nearly beating Verstappen, you had Norris nearly beating everyone, you had Vettel coming 5th. So it does really level the playing field. So I think it will be interesting to see that. Having said that, it'll probably be like sun and 40 degrees there for the next 3 days and just dry it all off, and then we're like, oh. So yeah, we'll have to see.
Well, what I'll say is, I mean, from what I saw on Twitter and stuff, people are scared because of what happened at Spa with the cancellation and the officially one lap race. But what I'd say is, Sochi's a better track to have it at, because there's a lot more runoff. It's not as dangerous, not as old school as Spa. Fog. Well, it wasn't really fog at Spa, was it? Or was it? Was it fog?
It's just many
just
wet.
The spray.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I'm not sure. Well, there's never been a wet session at Sochi apart from practice, perhaps. Sure. Definitely not qualifying or race.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how the track surface will react, but I think it will be better than Spa.
I mean, I think I can't really think of a circuit that would have been worse than Spa, except maybe Monza, but that's possibly. That's the only one that would be in the same galaxy, really. I think Russia would be a lot better. I'd even argue that I'd expect them to go ahead in the same conditions as at Spa. I think the only reason they didn't at Spa is because of Eau Rouge and all of the stuff that's happened there. So, I think Spa's a pretty unique condition. Yeah, I really hope we get to see racing, as long as it is safe, obviously, at Russia, because I'm not getting up for another, not early, but early for me to start.
It's 1 hour earlier than normal, isn't it?
Just to sit there for 4 hours watching a safety car go around the track and then go home. So, yeah, please, there be some racing. But also, Mercedes, it's their 100% track. They always win there. So will that continue? I do not know.
I mean, that's the big question, isn't it? If it was dry, I think Mercedes would have to be the favourites. They have won every Russian Grand Prix, as you said. It just suits the philosophy the car always has. Hamilton's won 4 races, I think, here. Bottas, as we know, it goes very well too. Let's say it is dry. Does Hamilton have to win? Or, yeah, well...
I think he does. I think he has to. I think looking over the last few races,
they could have won. They've had a car to win the last 4 races out of it, but they haven't.
I'd say not Zandvoort, I think Max had the better
Well,
car at Zandvoort, but I think outside of that, yeah, I think Hungary, they should have won. Although, to be fair, Hungary, they probably got more of an advantage than they would have if it had been a 1-2. But anyway, Hungary, they should have won. Belgium, I think they arguably should have won. I think they had it in them to get Poland the win, or certainly in dry conditions, I think they would have been closer. So Netherlands, I don't really. I think Verstappen maybe had the faster car there.
that's where we disagree.
But Italy, definitely. I think I said last time, I think they should have won that about 3 different ways, and they didn't. So, yeah, it's, I think 3 of the last 4 races, or I guess 4 of the last 5 races, because they did win at Silverstone, they've had the car to win, and they haven't bar Silverstone. So, yeah, I think this is really a must win, because that advantage that they got through the wipeout at Silverstone, still not saying it was Hamilton's fault at all, but they got an advantage from that, and that's all gone now. Verstappen's back in the lead of the championship by 5 points. So, yeah, they need to take advantage here.
And if you're looking at the tracks coming up, Sochi is the one that suits them most. I think some tracks will suit Mercedes as well, but this one, they should have a pretty big advantage. And Verstappen has his 3 grid place penalty, of course, so you can't start higher than 4th. So everything's there for Hamilton to just execute, play the simple weekend, even if it is wet. He should be fine. He is one of the best, if not the best, in the wet. So I think it is a must win, just for some momentum, for confidence as well, because he hasn't won a race when him and Verstappen have finished since Spain at the start of May, which is remarkable. So I really think him and Mercedes need to get something going, and if he does do it, he will finally get his 100th win as well, which we've been waiting for about 7-8 weeks now.
I mean, Freddie had worked out a master plan for him to win it at Silverstone, which didn't happen. But yeah, I think I'd forgotten about the Verstappen grid penalty, in all honesty, but I think that just adds even more, even more to it. I think Bottas, if you're Mercedes, you're just saying
there as well. It should be a Mercedes 1-2.
Well,
I think it's.
If it's dry, if it's wet, Bottas won't be up there, because we've seen him in the wet and he didn't do well. But I think if it's dry, you're just saying to Bottas, just stay out of Hamilton's way, just run in second. Like, I know it's his best chance probably to get a win, but Hamilton needs to win. Like, just get out of his way, let Hamilton take the win. I think that's what they need to do. So, yeah, I'd say that, but. I don't know. I think just Mercedes have let a few wins go this year. So, it's not, they seem to be making harder work of it than they've needed to. And
they've not been operating as well as they have in
the
past, I think. I think Red Bull have been operating better.
I agree.
Is, even with the bad luck Verstappen's had, that's what's kind of brought Verstappen into the lead. But you brought up a point there, Bottas. So, if they do use team orders and Red Bull with Perez as well, would you fully support that? Would you have absolutely no problems if team orders are used in the final 8 races?
No, I don't think. I
mean, some fans will.
Oh yeah, I know, and some Verstappen fans will have problems if Mercedes use it, and some Mercedes fans will have problems if Red Bull use it, and not vice versa. But that's just the way F1 fans and Twitter fans work. But I think, it's
silly not to.
Bottas is 80 points behind. He's not a factor at all in in this championship in terms of the fight with Verstappen in the final standings. So they've got to. They'd be daft not to be honest. And it's sad for him, because this could be a chance for him to win his last Mercedes race, but they have to. It's a complete fight, straightforward fight between Mercedes and Red Bull, and between Hamilton and Verstappen, and I don't think there's really much room for that. And Red Bull will do the same in a heartbeat. So yeah, I think they have to. I'd be interested to see if Bottas does follow it, knowing that it could be his last opportunity for a win. I imagine he probably would, but
he has to be ahead first, doesn't he?
Yeah, but I think it's a possibility. I mean, he was ahead of Italy, but until his grid penalty killed him. But yeah, I can see that situation happening. I mean, not the grid penalty, but yeah, I can see the situation happening where he's ahead. But equally, Hamilton might just take one of the dominant wins that we've not really seen this year, but we had for spent 8 years watching previously. So yeah.
Talking of grid penalties, Verstappen is still set to take a grid penalty at some point this year for a fourth engine. I think he should take it this weekend, just because he can't start higher than fourth, and just because it's a Mercedes track, so that he's less likely to win. So then I'd take it this weekend. If he gets fourth, fifth, or third, something like that, that's a good result. Get it out of the way. Fresh engine for the next races. I think if I was Red Bull, I'd be doing that.
I think there's logic to that.
I mean, it's either here or USA, isn't it? It is the logical places to take it.
Yeah, I think you'd say so. I mean, it depends. So what, has he had this engine since Hungary race?
So yeah, what? Well, let me think. The Silverstone got damaged. Yeah, he's had it since Hungary, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I guess there might be some logic in just trying to go as far as you can without taking it.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know.
They said it will happen though. Whereas Hamilton and Mercedes, we don't know, but
yeah,
it seems more likely. I'm not sure why that's.
When did Hamilton take his third?
So this is interesting.
It wasn't that long
I've
after.
I've got an article about this actually on Racing News 365. There's a plug.
Go and check it out.
Or when this comes out, it'll be there.
While we're doing this, I've done 2 interviews with Lassie's Freck champion Gianluca Petikov for F1feederseries.com. So please go and check that out. Thank you. Carry on.
So Hamilton took his second power unit in France. No, not France. Azerbaijan. He took it in Azerbaijan, but he took his third one in Spa, which was a surprise because that was early to me. I thought they would take it now. So because he took it so early, that kind of made me think, and he's strategically planning to take a fourth one, just to have a fresh engine for the final 5-6 races or whatever. So, yeah, that's the story there.
I mean, I guess with Spa kind of takes a race out for both of them. So, yeah, I don't know. I think there may be some merit in just seeing how far you can take it, but that's
is that what you would do, or would you?
I don't know what I'd do. That's why I'm not in charge of Red Bull's engine strategy or Mercedes. But I am with AlphaTauri. No. I don't know. I think it makes sense to take it here, but equally, that could be handing a fat stack of points back to Hamilton, and we don't, as you say, we don't know whether he's going to take another one or not. Yeah, I don't know. I think that there's merits to kind of a lot of options really, and they'll be the ones with all the information to make that decision. Not.
How about this? If Red Bull, let's say Red Bull take it this weekend with Verstappen, should Hamilton take it as well? So they both start at the back, and then so you can finish highest. Because then, if Mercedes are planning to take a fourth one, that means they're going to lose points somewhere down the line to Verstappen, just like this weekend with Red Bull and losing points to Hamilton possibly. So is that an option perhaps? Or
nah, surely not. I think no, you can't do that. I think with Hamilton, I think you've got to go this weekend for the win. We both said it's a really must-win race for them, and if you take it further along, then you'll just have to hope Bottas is a god, or I think, but or just hope that Hamilton can get further up at another track than Verstappen can here. But I don't think so. I think you've got to go for it. Can they decide between qualifying and the race?
Yes, you can. Yeah,
So they might
they
do
can
that
do
depending
that.
on how Verstappen's qualifying
That's
goes.
that's what Red Bull have been saying this week. They've said they'll wait until after quali to
Yeah,
see. Because say if he qualifies third, takes the free grid, that means he'll start sixth. So, if he's going to start sixth, I think you should take a penalty, start at the back. But for Hamilton's case, I think I would take a fourth engine as well. I really would, just to have that fresher engine in the bank for the final races, because I think it is going to come down to the final 2 or 3 races, this championship, and it is so close. We've seen how every
but
10th matters.
but equally, if you're saying every 10th matters, so does the at least 15 points that a driver is going to gain for taking a fresh engine. So I don't
But do you
necessarily.
want to be against Verstappen with a fresh engine versus yourself with a 4 or 5 race old engine for the final few races? I wouldn't want to be.
Yeah, but equally, would you want to be handing Verstappen a massive cushion in the championship of
Yeah, but it equals
potentially
out.
20
It should
points?
equal out this weekend, shouldn't it? In theory, if Verstappen takes it this weekend.
Yeah, but Mercedes need to gain. Mercedes need to make gains on Verstappen because they're 5 points behind. So yeah,
Hmm.
I don't know. I think
I think they're planning to take it because I really don't think they would have
it
done it
might
at
be.
Spa so early if they weren't planning something. So I think
Yeah,
you know probably since say France or Austria they decided right we're going to take an engine penalty, a grid penalty for a fourth engine at some point,
yeah.
but they're just not going to say.
But I just think if you're saying every 10th matters, you've also got to acknowledge that there is a huge penalty, which is kind of the point of the engine penalty. We're taking a fourth power unit, and that's handing a lot of points to your rival in a season where I think you've got to in normal circumstances, Hamilton or Verstappen is winning. If the other one isn't there, Perez or Bottas aren't strong enough to beat the other.
Mm.
So I think, and if there's a kind of crazy race coming up, then maybe it'd be worth taking one. But yeah, I don't know. I think
It's
it's
interesting because
it is.
this is what the free engine rule does. Not many people like it, but we haven't seen this before. Where strategically you might want to intentionally take a grid penalty, to win the championship or whatever. So in a way, it kind of adds some excitement. Weirdly,
I think we're the only people excited about it.
maybe,
But
yeah,
yeah.
maybe, yeah, maybe. uh, let's move on. What else have we got to talk about? Goodness me. Help me, Adam.
Well, the fact that Antonio Giovinazzi is still at Alfa Romeo and still hasn't been announced or
Mm.
announced as leaving or announced as staying on, which I've been talking to Freddie about this as well, that we kind of both think that's maybe down to his performances over the last few weekends. He has been doing much better, and it's kind of made it difficult for Alfa. This is our theory. But it's made it kind of more difficult for Alfa Romeo to replace him while he's having some of his kind of best weekends in the team. I mean, there's also the factor that Zhou needs to get his super license, and
Yeah.
that's very up in the air at the moment. So whether Sochi, if he has a good weekend at Sochi, that could really change things up because then they've not got another race until Saudi Arabia, because that's apparently why how F2 works, that they're just going to have a 2 month gap before the next race because it's fun. I don't know, stupid. Anyway, so I think a lot could hinge on how things go in F2 for Guan Yu Zhou and how things go in F1 for Giovinazzi as to whether we see that announcement come.
I think
You know,
they've always planned. I think they didn't. I think they wanted to do it in October anyway. I think. I
mm,
read it somewhere. I can't remember where, but I don't think they plan to announce anything this month. So I'm not too surprised by it. And I think you're right with. I think Vassar, the team principal, Fred Vassar, he said he wanted to see what happens in Monza and Sochi with
mm,
Joe. So I think that's all it is
mm.
really. So I don't think
There's,
Giovinazzi has been performing well, but I don't think that's the reason why. I don't think.
I mean, though, there's F2 and F3 this weekend, which is going to be
Yeah,
Mad.
F3 finale.
Yes, it is. Dennis Hauger will have to do something special to lose it, I think. But things happen. So yeah, it's kind of, I don't know. It's been interesting. I don't know what to make of F3, to be honest. I think the schedule hasn't helped and the format hasn't helped, but I think kind of looking down the list, there are kind of drivers that maybe expected to do a bit better. I think especially Vesti in his second year, he's been running away with it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was before Spain. I think Spain was the first F3 race. We were kind of like did a little 10-minute segment on F3, because we were pretty excited about it. And I think I mentioned Vesti, he'll be champion, but someone like him, he really hasn't performed when you need to, quite frankly. So it has been a bit underwhelming, I think, overall, the whole championship. And like I said, the calendar, the format doesn't help as well. But yeah, sometimes you just get, go on.
I mean, last year I thought Vesti coming in, he was with Prema. He'd come in after winning Freck, I think. But I'll double check. But, he'd come in winning a championship where he'd been racing, Formula Regional, where he'd been racing a lot of the people that he'd then be competing with in F3. So I kind of thought, he seemed to be like the driver prime to take it. And then the one driver that he didn't race was Oscar Piastri, who won instead. But Vesti wasn't really there. He kind of wasn't really a factor in that mad final weekend. So yeah, I think Doohan's been the big surprise package where I didn't really see him coming in, and he has. Clement Novalak has done well, but he's changed his nationality from British to French, so I don't like him anymore. And Martins has had a good kind of debut season. I think he's maybe this. No, he's probably not a standout, but I think he's.
I rate Martins. I quite like him.
I don't know how he's pronounced either. I don't know if it's Martin or Martins, but
I think it is Martin. That's how the commentators say it, Martins.
Yeah, I think Hauger, he's in his second season, isn't he? And it's kind of you'd probably have expected him to win. I think it would have been maybe not expected, but I think if he hadn't won, then it would have been a bit of a red flag on him going through. So yeah, I think there seems to be, in my mind anyway, a kind of clear divide between top four and then kind of from Vesti downwards. I mean, Leclerc's had some good races, but I think that's where the dividing line is of kind of drivers that I would follow going forward and closely, and would expect to go to F2, and kind of drivers that maybe I won't, not going to be tracking as closely.
The thing the problem I've always had with F3 is the Prema effect, because I think since 2012 or something, there's only been one non-Prema drivers champion, and that was Norris when he was with Carlin in 2017. So I hope the Prema effect isn't over, like making Hauger look better than he is, kind of thing. And because I can't help but feel, because we've seen Vesti, he's moved from Prema to, I should know which team he's with, ART.
Yeah.
And he's not performing as well. So I just wonder how much of an effect that has. But I guess we won't know till next year when they move to F2 or move championships or whatever. But that is always something I've had with F3, which has made it like it's always been a factor with me when judging drivers. Have they driven with Prema in F3? How well have they done? So yeah, that's always something a bit random, but just a thought.
No, I understand. I think, but I think that kind of, that only extends to the Premier drivers. So I think, doing Novalak and Martins, it's kind of they've had good seasons, and there's kind of not that detractor you can take away from that. I think Hauger in his second season and in Prema, as I say, it all lined up for him to take it, and you'd expect him to go to F2 and see what he can do. But I think, if I was a insert name here, F2 team looking for a driver, I think I'd probably take one the other four or one the other three. out of the top four, to be honest. I don't think I would take Hauger as first choice. But on the flip side, Hauger is very fast. He's won championships in the past, and as we say, he looks like he's going to win this one as well. So it's not a major kind of mark against his name, but I think personally, looking at it, there's maybe more concrete conclusions that you can draw from the rest of the top four's seasons. So but this I just hope they go back to the old format. I think it's good ending it now, which I don't get. I kind of like that about F3. I don't get where F2 has to finish in Abu Dhabi. It just seems really bizarre. Like, finish it.
Must be contractual. That's all I can think of. Must be.
It's like no one, and if you put the championship decider like 4 rounds earlier, if you put it in Mexico City or something like that, then that like puts more attention on Mexico City. No one. If I had Abu Dhabi, half the fans have forgotten who's winning, and no, it's the end of season, and there's all the end of season stuff going around with F1. So no one it doesn't matter. There's just, it just detracts from F2. F2 is not big enough to overcome that. Whereas if you put it early, you'll get the benefit that drivers have a few more months to decide their contract and decide who they're racing with. And it puts more attention and kind of more riding on a different Grand Prix over the weekend, which is better. And that's kind of why, I think F3's got its stuff sorted out more in that, it finished at Mugello last year, I think, and it's finishing Sochi here. It just works better for me anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. The F2 finished in Bahrain last year. I don't think they had Abu Dhabi. And I remember we were talking about it simply just because, it wasn't the F1 finale, it was the F2 finale, and that was just as exciting at the time. So, that piece of evidence alone, just shows your point. So, who knows why? But,
I don't know. Yeah. I guess they don't want drivers kind of out of the seat for ages before they go into F1. That's kind of that's really
a bit of a lazy reason to me.
Yeah, no, but that's the only thing I can think of. And even then, you can just put on the series, put the equivalent of the Toyota Racing Series on.
We have the young drivers test as well in December and stuff. So I'm not sure.
But anyway, that's our rant.
F2 things.
That's our rant for the week over.
Speaking of Abu Dhabi and Sochi. Like, honestly, is Sochi one of the worst tracks on the calendar for F1, do you think?
Yes. Absolutely.
That's a fair answer.
I think the 2019 Grand Prix with Leclerc and Vettel was entertaining. But that was entertaining because of Ferrari. That could have happened at any track or any track.
Was that your favourite Russian Grand Prix?
I mean, probably. It's a pretty short list.
2018 were Hamilton and Vettel. They had a battle, and then Bottas had to let Hamilton by, and that was kind of dramatic for Sochi standards, I guess.
Yeah,
that's the only other bit that stands out.
That's the thing is, I think the Vettel and Leclerc stuff was quite. It felt like it had been waiting for that for the whole season. So I think that felt quite significant when it did happen, which is probably why. That's the one that I remember most. But I think looking at Mexico City, Portimao, and Jeddah and Abu Dhabi are kind of I think you put Sochi with them in the bottom bracket of the grid this year for me. So it's just not, and whatever the TBA race is, which we don't know yet, but. Yeah, it's just not good. I think they're moving.
The corners are just so repetitive.
When are they
90 degree? Go on.
No, I was just going to say, when are they moving it to Agora Drive?
2024, no, 3, 4. Oh,
23.
No, 23.
It's 2023, but then are they doing a street circuit? I thought they were doing like one street circuit race and then. No, that might be Jeddah. I think I'm thinking of Saudi Arabia, another oil money Grand Prix. So, I think that'll be really a blessing for everyone because I don't think Igor Drive can be that bad. And it's just not. And even the Olympic Park, it didn't make anything of the being in the Winter Olympic Park anyway, which is kind of like the whole unique aspect of it. I mean, from what I've never been to Sochi, but what people say, you know, what Jack Nicholls said, who did the Winter Olympics commentary for BBC and does F1, is that Sochi itself is like a resort town, so it's like a weird setup because like people don't live there, or it's not really like the main population hub. The main population hub's like an hour away or whatever in the car, and then the Sochi itself is just like like a tourist attraction, like a resort, which it's just strange. It's, you know, it always takes place in the day and you've just got like bland backdrops, you know, like a motorway flyover or something when you're not going past the Olympic Park. Even the Olympic Park, because all of, you know, the stadiums there are pretty much all indoors, then because that's how the Winter Olympics works, then it's just boxes anyway. Like there's one that's the shape of an ice hockey puck, which is quite cool, I guess, but it's just...
To make it a night race, I think. That might
that'll work.
Then you'd
well,
have
yeah.
the Black Sea next to it.
That'll work
Black
well.
Sea?
Yes.
It's the Black Sea. And then that would look quite... It just look better, quite frankly.
Yeah, that's a good shout, actually. But, so then it'd be on... Well, it'd be on in the UK as kind of an evening race. Quite cool. I think they should do that, but they're not going to. And anyway, I feel like if they were going to do that, they should have done that in 2016. Now it's going to Agora Drive. It's like, I don't really... No, I care what happens with this championship.
2 more races, haven't they?
Yeah, I care what happens with this championship, but like, well, they've only got 1 more race. They're not going to make this one a night race with 2 days' notice. So, you know, I think they've only got 1 more. So I think the time to do that has passed. But I don't know. I think it has the potential for a good race. I mean, last year had the potential for a bit of a good race before Hamilton messed up his practice starts. And if he does that this weekend, like, just give Red Bull
You'll
the
be throwing
title.
things, I think, if he does that.
Get, like, he'll be throwing the World Championship trophy to Red Bull. Like, he should just drop it off after the race there. Anyway, he's probably not going to do that because he's not an idiot. But you know, it's got a vague potential to have some good races. But I think even as a track, it's underperformed. I don't think, you know, like, it's not an amazing track at all, but I would have expected to have like a memorable race.
Yeah.
You know, that's memorable, like on track moments, which it hasn't even had that, which, yeah, it's just not a good track. And we're leaving it soon, which is good.
There we go. I think you've summed up what my thoughts pretty much there in that little 3-4 minute speech. Is there anything else you want to talk about, Adam, before this weekend? I think McLaren should go well again because of the power-sensitive nature of the track. If it is dry, but even if it's wet, Norris, as we saw, goes very well in the rain. So I think, they could get a podium, especially if Verstappen does take a grid penalty. That'll widen the door a bit.
Well, maybe Ferrari just like turn up and just randomly do well. So I don't know. Maybe they'll do that again. Do you want to make any predictions? Yeah, let's do it. Do you want to predict a podium and a pole position?
I think Hamilton will sweep the weekend. I think he'll get pole and win. I think he knows he has to perform this weekend. I think he will do it. He'll get his 100th win, which will be fantastic. And I think second and third, I think it'll be Mercedes 1-2. I think Bottas will be second. And then third, I'm going to go Ricciardo. I'm going to say he backs up his Monza performance, which I never thought I would say.
Ricciardo.
Before
Wow.
Monza. Yeah, I know.
I'm going to go... Yeah, Hamilton pole, Hamilton win, Bottas second, Leclerc third. I think. I could come back to bite me, but who knows?
If Verstappen starts from the pit lane on back, how far up do you think he'll get?
I mean,
I'm going to say fifth.
Yeah, it's quite a difficult one because I don't know, like, the kind of parallels to judge from are probably...
So he started from the back in 2018 in Sochi as well, and he got up to fifth after like 7 laps or something, but then he stayed fifth for the rest of the race.
Oh, did he? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, probably the same thing then. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about, I don't know, and Hamilton's come from the back a few times in Monza and Hungary over the last 2 years, but that's a bit of a different situation, really. So, yeah, I don't know. I think pit lane start's a bit different because you can't make up like 2 or 3 positions on the first corner. But I don't know. That's if he actually, to be fair, if Hamilton takes pole, he'll be starting 5th. I can see him taking 3rd from that, actually. I just kind of discounted him from my prediction, which was quite bad.
And
but
Perez, this if Verstappen does start at the back, Perez has got a big opportunity to.
Perez isn't doing anything.
Well,
it's not happening.
We'll see. If I was Verstappen, if it's dry, give him a massive slipstream in qualifying, like down the main straight, like Bottas did with Verstappen last year, and then give him like half a second.
Actually, that is something I just want to shout out again. Is like Bottas doing that, and then on Drive to Survive, he's like, yes, I tricked them. I was like, I gave Verstappen a massive slipstream, so I was 3rd, and everyone was like, Bottas, you're rubbish because you qualified behind Verstappen. But then I got a massive slipstream, then overtook him, and like then I won the race, and it was all my master plan. It's like, no, it's just because Hamilton was an idiot and did 2 burnout starts. Like, it wasn't anything to do with Bottas at all. It was just Hamilton, like, losing his brain and Mercedes losing their brain for like a few seconds. And Bottas was like, haha, this is all how I planned it. It's like, no, just shut up. So yeah, that's the thing I want to shout out.
I've still not watched this season's Drive to Survive, actually, so but I definitely know about that. So I don't think I'm missing too much from what people said.
It's quite nice. I kind of view it as a season review, or that's how I kind of watch it as. I think I said before the season came out, it seems to be kind of maybe getting a bit bigger than it should be, or kind of, which I think after this season, I definitely agree with myself. So, but you know, it's entertainment. I enjoyed watching it, and you know, as I say, kind of when it comes out in March or February, seeing it as a season review from last season is quite fun, I think. So, yeah,
there we go. That is
covered every topic possible. Covered Drive to Survive, Agora Drive, F2 and F3, Freck, Gianluca Petikov, Tyres, Bloods, Aston Martin. Yeah, covered it all. Great podcast.
And we'll be doing it every week. Well, most weeks, hopefully, when Freddie is back.
Yes.
We will see you after the Russian Grand Prix. Hopefully it doesn't get cancelled or anything because of the weather. Hopefully it's a safe one. Hopefully it's an exciting one. So until then, we will see you next time.
Goodbye.